let's make some Jamaican cocoa bread together. If you're like me, you have to wait until you go to Jamaica to get your fix, but instead of waiting, we're going to be learning to make them today. So let's make them together. We're going to start off by adding 1 cup of warm coconut milk, 2 tablespoons of white sugar, and 1 pack of the traditional yeast. We're going to mix that well, and we're going to cover that and set that to the side to allow the yeast to activate for 10 minutes. While we wait for our yeast to activate, we're going to go ahead and add 2 cups of all-purpose flour to a larger bowl. We're also going to be adding ½ teaspoon of salt, and then we're just going to mix that well and set that to the side. Once that 10 minutes has passed, this is what your yeast should look like. We're then going to add our yeast to our flour mixture, and we're just going to mix that in. Once we've mixed that in, we're also going to be adding 1/4 cup of unsalted melted butter. We're going to go in with our hands at that point, and we're just going to knead lightly until we get a dough. I'm going to then form my dough into a ball, cover it with saran wrap, and put that in a dark area to rest for 25 to 30 minutes. After that 25 to 30 minutes, our dough should have doubled in size, and this is what it should look like. We're then going to move on to forming our cocoa bread. To form our cocoa bread, I'm going to lightly flour my workstation, and then I'm going to place a ball in the middle and cut that into half. These ingredients should be able to make you about 6 cocoa bread, but I did find that a few of them were too small, so I ended up making 5. Once I have them sliced, I'm going to go ahead and just form them into balls, and then I'm going to put them back in that container, cover them up while I prep everything else. Before I begin forming my cocoa bread, I'm going to go ahead and grab a baking sheet. I'm just going to line that and then apply a generous amount of butter to that sheet, and then I'm going to set that aside while I form and get my cocoa bread prepped. To form my cocoa bread, I'm going to start by flouring my work surface, which means I'm going to flour my mat and also flour my rolling pin to prevent sticking. I'm then going to grab a dough ball. I'm going to place that in the middle. This mat actually helps so much because it has different outlines of different circles, so it helps to form the perfect circle that you desire. So I'm going to go ahead and roll, but you don't want to roll your dough too thin. I'm going to go ahead and roll it until I get my desired circle. Next, I'm going to apply a generous amount of unsalted butter to my dough. I'm then going to fold that into half to make a moon shape, and then I'm going to place that on my baking pan. Once we have them all formed, we're going to place them on our baking sheet, and we're going to brush them with some unsalted butter. We want our cocoa bread to be nice, fluffy, and buttery, and we're then going to put them in the oven, and we're going to proof them. We're going to let them rise again, but this time we're going to preheat our oven to 170. Once it's at 170, we're going to place them in there for 15 minutes. After that 15 minutes, they should look like this. They should be nice and fluffy. We're then going to put that back in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, this is what your cocoa bread should look like. It should be nice and soft and fluffy on the inside. All you'd have to do now is just brush a bit of butter on top, and then it's ready to be served. I really do hope this recipe was easy enough to follow. I know it's absolutely delicious. It tastes just like the cocoa bread back home. The first time I made it, I was actually in awe. The only thing I used differently this time was the yeast, and it didn't make that much of a difference. Honestly, 10 out of 10 would recommend. I really do hope you guys will give this a try, but until next time, bye.